Hey, I'm Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the new Monsta 2020 by JS Industries. So the Monsta 2020 I've been riding is a stock 511, and it comes in at 511 by 19.5 by 2.5, exactly 31 litres. That is what JS is now calling the Easy Rider DIMS. So JS have had the Monsta, which has kind of been their flagship kind of performance shortboard, with the exception of the Forget Me Not, for around 10 years now. I think I had the first Monsta around 10 years ago, and about 18 months ago we checked out the Monsta 8. So with the Monsta 2020, it's just a renewed version of the Monsta, and they've tried to make a slightly more forgiving shortboard. And I feel like they've done that. I've surfed it a few times across a variety of conditions, and I thought the Monsta 8 was quite forgiving. The Monsta 2020 is a very forgiving shortboard. I was actually a little rattled on my first surf on it. I'd just come off riding like some fishes and some really high volume craft, and I was like, oh, I haven't ridden a shortboard for a while. I don't know how this is gonna go. But getting on it straight away, it felt really natural and it just went really, really well. So looking over the Monsta 2020, what they've tried to do is give the board a greater sweet spot, just to make it a little bit more forgiving. And that seems to be with the volume distribution through the chest and also with the concave on the bottom. With the nose rocker, I think they've flattened it out and they're saying there's just a little bit more flip through the last few inches. So when you're doing turns in kind of critical and steep sections, you can have this more forgiving rocker and outline, but it's not going to catch. It's going to stay out of the water and not cause you any trouble. In the back end, they're saying that it now has a bit of a hip, which I can kind of see, nothing too crazy, but it actually feels and looks like, and I'm not sure this because this is the Easy Rider DIMS version, which is a shorter and wider version and thicker. It feels like it has a much larger kind of tail block, which adds to that forgiving, feeling of the board. But yeah, it feels really nice underfoot, but it kind of feels like it's a little bit wider in that back end, where I feel like the Monsta 8s and that would come in pretty neat and pretty tight. Flipping over the Monsta 2020, pretty simple bottom. It's got a single through the front and it comes through a double through the tail. So all that's going to do is keep the board. JS says it's one of the fastest concaves they have, and it is a really fast and really quick board, and that just keeps water moving, from front to back really quickly, making it a really fast and easy to surf board. So like I said, I've been surfing the Monsta 2020 for a while now. I came on this from surfing some really high volume and some 20s and some different kind of stuff, and I was a bit rattled going, well, I haven't surfed a shortboard for a while, I hope this works for me. And hadn't been surfing a lot for a whole variety of reasons. But getting on it, it felt very natural from the get-go, which I was actually blown away by. And as I said, JS have their kind of stock range of DIMS they've brought out, which, not too bad, fairly high performance. But for someone like me, 5'10 and a half, around 92 kilos, they've brought out the Easy Rider DIMS, which I believe they designed in collaboration with Luke Egan. And this is mental for me. I'm normally kind of making boards a little bit shorter, a little bit wider, a little bit thicker, because I'm not tall, long and thin. And this is perfect. I can grab it right off the rack and it sits around the, the size, width and volume that I'd normally order. But yeah, like I said, I've been riding a whole variety of conditions. The volume in that and the rocker and the concave feels really nice. The first few surfs were in some pretty small conditions. We've had some small kind of rip bowls. Not when I'd normally ride a shortboard, but I was really keen to check it out because it actually sat there for a while before I first rode it. And it went really well in, kind of knee to kind of waist high waves, which really shocked me. And like I said, I don't know if it actually is, but I feel like there's a wider tail block. I think it looks wider and it feels wider underfoot. Under my back foot in those small conditions, it felt like it had a real gas pedal, like there was a lot of float under the back foot, when normally shortboards might struggle in really small conditions. It felt absolutely mental. Surfing it in some bigger and some kind of chunkier stuff, the thing's been epic. It still has a performance rocker, so it's going to keep you out of trouble. The volume in it and that Easy Rider DIMS creates a board that's really easy to paddle and really easy to get into waves. but it still has that Monsta 2020 or the Monsta Rocker, which is a performance rocker. So like I said, it's not too aggressive, but then it has this flip and it keeps you out of trouble. A few turns I did where I thought I'd get stuck in some steeper sections, the thing held its own and it was absolutely mental. Flipping it over, I rode a bunch of different fins in the Monsta 2020 and nothing crazy here. This is the JS fin by FCS 2. So this is the new fin. They've recently changed the color and layout. This is a new one. Aesthetically, it's a very pleasing fin and it was really, really nice to surf. I think it complemented the board. Surely JS has designed this fin, he's designed this board, and they work really well together. But the board is really easy to surf and I would be confident to surf with, any fin that I like, the Chloe Andino, the Julian Wilson, or even like the AM. This board is just a really simple and easy to surf performance shortboard. I wouldn't get caught up too much in the fins. So if you want to check out the new JS fin, they surf well and they look amazing. Definitely try it out. But if you have a favorite fin in either FCS or Futures, they'll probably go pretty well with this board. The Monsta 2020 I rode is 31 litres and it felt spot on. I tried to stick to stock dimensions, especially with the reviews, because a lot of people will be buying boards that are stock off the rack. And this sat just a little bit. I try and aim for around 30 to 30.5 litres in a board, but I don't get too tied up in those numbers. But this felt absolutely perfect. It paddled into everything, had really nice glide and flow, was super easy to surf, and the 31 litres felt spot on. So whatever your volume is that you're confident with, stick with that number. You don't need to add or subtract any numbers from it. The volume is true to what they say and just go to whatever you're familiar with. What I really liked was the Easy Rider dims. So that's a new thing for JS. I believe it's a new thing. And with the Monsta 20, they did those Easy Rider dims in collaboration with Luke Egan. He's a pretty solid guy, very powerful surfer, and has over the last few years, as he's getting older, has ridden higher volume boards. So it's cool to see boards that are, coming a little bit shorter, wider, thicker, so you're not having to order them custom, and you can actually get a board off the rack, that isn't, because I think the 511 in the Monsta 2020 is like 26 litres. So I'd have to order custom to get the volume I want. So this was perfect and I really enjoyed it. Look, overall, I've really enjoyed the Monsta 2020. Look, JS keeps pumping out every year or two a new Monsta model and you think they can't outdo themselves, but they do it again. They create this shortboard, which is super high performance, but so forgiving. There isn't much that this board, as a high performance shortboard, can't do. If you're a very capable surfer, but even in some very average and small and marginal conditions, the board goes really, really well, and it blows me away actually how well this surfs in really, small and crappy waves. Look, overall, I frothed out on the Monsta 2020. A great new addition by JS Industries, and I love the Easy Rider dims because they work well for me. Look, hopefully you get a chance to check one out, and thanks so much for watching.